Hello, my survivors, and welcome back to my channel. This is On Step. Thank you so much for coming. And if you had landed on my channel, it's because you are interested in learning more about narcissism personality disorder, narcissism abuse, being a survivor of it, getting through it. All of us connected. And yes, I am a narcissistic survivor. So I want to make it totally clear to those who are new. I am not a psychologist. I am not a professional in any way to give advice to someone who is suffering currently or who has just got finished going through the most terriblest narcissistic abuse on earth. I am not that professional. I'm a professional, but not in that manner. What I am is someone who has personally went through it, and this is my perspective of what I've gone through. So I just want to make that perfectly clear, because some of the other YouTube channels, there's a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists that have specialized in this area, and they have treated a lot of people, and they are what they are, which is very helpful to the YouTube community for those who are searching for the truth. My platform is from someone who had that personal experience, and I cannot tell no one else's story but my own. So again, welcome to my channel. I thank you so very much. You and I do have something in common, which is we are survivors. Now, saying all that, someone has sent a message, and they had they was asking me questions about how children deal with this, meaning that, as the scapegoat, how do your child or children deal with the abuse? The children actually witness the abuse that you're going through, whether you are married or you're a single parent or whatever. But your kids is watching. So they're watching how people are treating you and how you are responding to them. So I unfortunately did not find out anything about this until later on in life, about a year ago, close to a year ago. So you and I are in the same boat if you're practically brand new when it comes down to narcissistic abuse, narcissism, dealing with someone who has that personality, whether they've been diagnosed or not. So as I was growing up in a dysfunctional family that had a matriarch that had that particular disorder, I didn't know any better. When you live in that environment as a child, you take that to be a norm unless you had something to compare it to. So as I grew older and I went into other people's households and I seen how they all function, it wasn't that they had perfect lives, but I knew that their family units was a little bit more cohesive and more together and more family friendly than mine were. And I knew it. It was too much of an obvious thing. But still, those who were in my home growing up, they were my family. So, of course, you love them for whoever they are because you don't know no better. Well, as time went on, I became an adult and I had children myself. And with the children that I had, which was 2 girls, they witnessed me with the abuse. And at first they was like, they didn't understand, as kids now, they didn't understand why it was so much chaos, so much drama. They just loved everybody. And that's how kids are. They basically just want to love, grandma. They want to love auntie. They want to love uncle. They want to love mommy. They just want to love. They just want everybody to get along and for them to freely be able to love them. And that's how it should be. But what happens if your children's scapegoat grew up in this household or grew up in this environment that they see you being abused? It's only a few things that's going to be able to happen. And it depends on your knowledge of what's going on. If, for instance, you have no inkling at this time, like I did, about narcissism, you just went with the flow and you was inside of this nasty cult, because that's exactly what it is, then your children can either learn from what they see and say, I'm never going to treat no one like this, or they can learn what they see and say, that's how I'm supposed to treat my parent, that's the scapegoat, but it's either one way or the other, and maybe it's a little bit of the gray area, who knows. But all in all, as they grow up, they will become mature enough to make that decision, and it depends on if you, a scapegoat, are aware of what's going on yourself to educate them. If not, all it's going to do is trickle down from the narcissistic person to you and to the children, and they're going to actually learn how to treat you. And unfortunately, in my life, my kids learned how to treat me based on how they seen others in the family unit treat me. And that's the unfortunate part about it. If I knew what I know now back then, I probably would have removed myself and my children a little sooner from the chaos. But, it is what it is now. So, as my kids are now adults, one child, the oldest child, has a tendency of, I see, blaming everything. If she can, she will, on me. And she has a problem with taking responsibility for her own actions, which when you see that in your child growing up, you try to do right, show them from right from wrong. And, you hope that whatever you're training them, gearing them up in life to be, that they know from right from wrong, right? Well, if you have someone that has a narcissistic personality disorder in your family unit, and you have those who are influenced, they all have some type of position. Meaning that if I'm the scapegoat, then who's the golden child? Who's the flying monkeys? Blah, blah, blah. Well, in my unit, I was a scapegoat again. I had a brother that was a golden child. And the rest were basically flying monkeys. My children actually grew up to be a flying monkey. Because of that grandma, influence, they would, basically honor whatever grandma said. And it could be right, it could be wrong, because it's grandma. And that ain't cool, but it is what it is. And I wish I could turn the clocks back, but I can't. So it's like, from this point moving forward, what to do. And accepting the fact that, I raised them, but I just didn't thought that having them around that person with that disorder and the influence that they had would outweigh me as a mom. But actually it did. I can give you one example. One example was my daughter, the oldest girl, wanted to have a gender reveal party. And she said to me, hey, Ma, I'm going to have this gender reveal party, and I'll let you know about it. And I said, okay, sure, all right. I said, if anything you want me to do to help, just let me know. And then she said, okay, fine. Well, weeks have rolled by, and I noticed I had never heard nothing more about it. And so I brought it up. I think I either text or sent it to a DM through Facebook, either one. Hey, have you decided how you're going to plan your gender reveal party? What do you want me to do to help? So she said, there will be no gender reveal party. I said, okay. I left it alone. But I realized now that was a carrot that she wanted me to, kind of say why, but I didn't. I just said, okay. So she came back and she basically was like, okay. She said, yeah, gender, the reason why is because of you. And I'm like, that believe me, what I got to do with the last time I talked to you was 2 weeks ago. And so what I got to do with it? And I didn't talk to nobody else about it. And so she came back and said she was trying to see if anyone was interested in it. And she didn't get no responses back. So she just took it that it was me. It was me who had, no one didn't want to be around me. So, and they didn't tell her that, but this is what she assumed. And so that's the reason why she decided not to have it. So it would be stuff like that, and I don't have anything to do with her gender reveal party. I was going to help her out, if she needed help at all and stuff. And that was it. Basically, I was just going to support her in it, I know it's a current trend that's going on right now. I went to one myself and another family member outside, not connected to my this family that I'm talking about. And I liked it. It was nice. I wish my daughter would have had one and stuff. It seemed like it was the one I went to was very fun, that I was invited to, matter of fact. But the children, I want to stay on topic of that. I just wanted to share with you as far as me, and then how my daughters, and then when it comes down to, like, for instance, the grandkids. The grandkids, I think, children in general, they get very, very, I think it's disappointing. I think it's very unfair. I think that they get caught up in all the drama, and it's so unnecessary. They are definitely the victims, because all they want to do is play. All they want to do is get to know whoever their relatives are. All they want to do is play with other kids in the family. But when you have adults that are not getting along, and they definitely just don't want to be dealing with another adult, if those adults are not mature enough to allow the children to play, they're not going to let the children see each other. And that's exactly what's going on in my family. Certain kids that are not able to see other kids because of the adults, because of the negative influence, believe it or not, that has kind of trickled down from the monarch to adult children to down their kids. And so it becomes a generational type of thing. And it should be stopped. What I've tried to do is I tried to see if the children can have, time alone, but monitored by adults, meaning take them to a designated place, not over each other's house. Let them go to Chuck E. Cheese and play. Let them talk on the phone. You can FaceTime now. Let them continue to connect because they desire to do so, and they don't have anything to do with this drama that's going on. But because of the toxic relationships, people have a tendency of putting themselves first, being selfish, and allowing the children to suffer through their selfishness, which isn't good. Because, again, you got kids watching. They're growing up in the midst of all this drama, and you're teaching them how to treat each other. So it's going to be very, very interesting seeing these children that had looked up at these adults and how they relate to each other, and seeing how they're going to relate to each other. So my perspective is children that are the scapegoat, they see how their parents are being treated, and they either, again, are going to be treating them the way that they seen them being treated by others, or they're going to realize, if they've been educated about what's going on, to learn how to treat people for who they are and not what other people try to make them be. To use their own insight, their own discernment, to use their own, to use and think about how that person has been more of a positive, strong person, as opposed to a dumping ground for others who don't want to take on their own responsibility. So my advice to those who are out there that are worried about their children being caught up in this, and if their children is going to be very upset with them, if the dysfunction of the narc and the flying monkeys and the golden child, if you think that this is going to harm your relationship with your child directly, meaning to the point of them turning against you, meaning to the point that you see how they have a negative viewpoint on who they are, and who you are. I go back to that, if you can take time out to sit back and watch the interactions between your children and that narc person, and if you see that they're being negatively influenced, because that's the key, then you need to make some changes as a parent to get them out that situation. And it just had to be what it had to be. You're going to have to educate them, explain to them what's going on an age-appropriate level, and move on. And connect with them, hopefully with some other relatives that are not in the same family unit as the narc and those toxic people. It's a lot of people in this world, and sometimes you got to open yourself up to be connected. They do not have to be blood relatives to be family, okay? This world is changing. You have to sometimes pick your family. You got a whole lot of other crap that's going on out in this world that you have to protect your children from, and unfortunately, you're going to have to protect your children from those who have that narcissistic personality disorder, okay? Because the bulk has to stop some kind of way. But, you know, this keep an eye. It starts with, now that you're educated, watch your children. See how they are being influenced. If it's all positive, you ain't got no beefs. But if you see an inkling of negativity that you know that they're being manipulated, you know, influenced in a rough manner, and you know, a negative manner, you got to pull your kids out of that. Don't let them go through what you went through. And trust me, either they're going to be a flying monkey, a golden child, or they're going to be a scapegoat too. So, you know, it's something that you have to take a step for. And that's to save your family life. Okay? So this is On Step. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification, because when the next time I put a video up, you'll be one of the first ones to know. And most importantly, please leave me some questions about what's going on with you. I might be able to, from Sure Enough Survivor, be able to talk to you about it. I've came a long, long way. If you've seen some of my other videos and stuff, I was in the midst of it. And I was breaking from it, so it was fresh. So it was a lot of venting that I was doing. Rightful venting, but venting that I was doing. And now I'm a little bit more calmer because I'm in a more calmer place in life. And I'm just looking forward. Since I've gone no contact, I've closed that door to the narcissistic family dysfunctional unit. And since that door is closed, other doors has opened up. Other doors with distant families that I didn't even know had existed. They came out. Those who were connected to my husband. Friends. You know, I still have a lot of friends from like college and stuff like that. And also friends out in the community that I had befriended through being a businesswoman and stuff. So it's not like I'm totally alone. And for those of you who are secluded and alone, you got to get out there. You have to get out there, take your time and meet people, and select positive people that will upbring you and be around you in your life, you know, and start putting yourself first. You know, cut out a day, cut out a minute, cut out whatever, a second. And just start putting yourself first and gain your self-confidence back, because you took a hard beating from the dysfunction that you just experienced. Okay? So be blessed. You are a survivor. And take care.